Let's continue this discussion with Kendall Coffey, a former federal prosecutor. Kendall, good to see you again. I've been eager to talk to you and get your federal prosecutor's perspective on this. How momentous is this latest indictment? I think a lot of Americans would say when you see somebody get serially indicted, and a fourth is likely to come this month out of Georgia, it dilutes its weightiness here. I mean, am I wrong? What say you?
Well, I think as they keep piling up, they don't really find issues of corruption. What are the things that people that have held public office can be charged for? Corruption, maybe doing something illegal with a foreign power. But all this this latest thing especially tends to talk about post-political maneuverings after the election. And really the big question is, did Trump know that he had lost? Because if he did, then the indictment has a lot of force because he was doing an awful lot of things that would have been knowingly false. But what if Trump actually believed, based on whatever information, misinformation, speculation, that he actually won and the election was being stolen from him? If that is more or less his position in the case, the prosecution has to overcome that. They have to show an intentionality on the part of...
And you take me to my next question is, he and his team say that he truly believed that. I mean, do you believe that defense works? And how do prosecutors prove his mindset at the time? Where do you even begin there?
Well, we've got a couple of hints in the indictment because at one point they have Trump quoted as saying to a high-ranking military officer, they were discussing a particular foreign policy problem, and Trump says, well, that'll go to the next guy. So maybe that implies that at least at one point he thought there was going to be the next guy. And then he accuses Michael Pence of being too honest. But there's so many occasions when Trump repeatedly, emphatically, nonstop, noisily insisted that the election was stolen, that I think the prosecution in this case is going to have something of a challenge to prove that Trump really believed that he had lost and was making all this stuff up in order to corrupt the process.
Yeah, and we saw in that indictment that so many people in his inner circle, outside of just the VP, but in his very administration, told him these claims were false. We've all circled our calendars here. The next hearing in this case is going to be on August 28th, where a trial date is going to be set for President Trump. How does the timing usually work in cases like this? And do you think we see a trial before we all head to the polls next November?
I don't see how they would do that if they follow normal kind of timing of federal trials. There's a lot of people that are referred to in this indictment, meaning there was a big investigation done. They talked to any number of people inside and outside the White House, in the legislature. And so there's a lot of information, and the defense has the right to get prepared. And thinking that it's now August, it just seems to me it's going to be very tough to get this case to trial significantly in advance of the election.
And when we do see it go to trial, President Trump, does he or does he not take the stand in this case?
I think he has to take the stand in this case, in the documents case, because there are possible explanations, but they can only come from Donald Trump. If you take some of his incriminating statements, and there are a few here, and there's a few more in the documents case, if you take them on their face, put together all the other government's evidence, it's a pretty strong case. If Trump gets on and denies that he attempted to rig the election, that he believed he was the victim of a falsely stolen election, I mean, is that enough to create a reasonable doubt, perhaps? And remember, he only needs one juror believing that there's a reasonable doubt in order to avoid a conviction. People are so divided about Trump. It'll be hard to get a unanimous jury.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to confirm real quick, we only have a couple of seconds left. You think he takes the stand in the January 6th case or the documents case?
Neither. He should. But
neither.
I think.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.